Good evening, Guardians, and welcome to episode number 35 of Short Pause Presents Tower Talk Live. I'm Ben on the other end of the microphone there. That's Brent. We are here on behalf of Short Pause. www.shortpause.com is the website. Follow us on Twitter at The Short Pause. Tower Talk is our Destiny-focused video discussion series. Brent, where you and I hop in here, we talk any and everything in the world of Destiny. We have a damn fine time doing it. How are you this evening, sir?
I'm good, man. I love it. Every time we go live, as soon as the video starts, man, Insanity, VOX Insanity's in the chat. He says, let's go, fellas. I always get fired up when I see Insanity in the chat. He's ready to go. He's ready to talk Destiny 2. Thanks for being here tonight, buddy. We appreciate that support. Dude, I kind of got to revisit like 2003 again this weekend. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I probably squeezed in about 35 hours of gaming in 3 days, dude.
Jeez.
I don't think I may have left the basement.
What's it like to be an adult, man?
Dude, I sat downstairs and just played 2 games for the entire 3 days I was off, and I couldn't have been more unproductive than I was these last 3 days, and it felt great. It felt great. It's been a long time since I've been able to go full loser. And man,
it's been a couple weeks at least.
It felt good, man. It felt good to play some games. I played through some Crackdown 3. I played through the Anthem story, so got a lot of gaming in. But I was still able to play some Crimson Days with you. Not as much as you. You went through and just cleared out all the triumphs over the course of the weekend because you're a madman. But no, man, I took a break from Destiny. I came down here. I sat here while in my own filth for 3 straight days, and it was just an incredible experience.
I mean, it sounds like an incredible experience. I mean, who wouldn't want to wallow in your filth for 35 hours? That's exciting stuff, man.
It was wonderful.
To those of us who were trying to be productive members of society, we did not spend last weekend playing 35 hours of Crackdown and Anthem and other assorted things. But like you mentioned, I did get a chance to put in some time with Crimson Days last week, and I want to spend a minute talking about this, Brent. So I really liked Crimson Days. It was a lot of fun, and this is not something new. We've had Crimson Days in Destiny before, but for whatever reason, this particular Crimson Days, like this week, really clicked for me. And I don't know, just the strategies, and maybe it was because they tweaked some things. I don't remember the buffs being in play with Crimson Days before. I feel like that was a new thing that they added for this season. I could be misremembering this. I don't really remember what I had for breakfast yesterday, so I can't necessarily remember what we were doing with Crimson Days, last year. But it seems like there were some new tweaks that added to the gameplay, and I just really, really had a good time with Crimson Days. I was experimenting with my loadouts. There's a different kind of strategy that goes into Crimson Days than goes into the other Crucible modes. There's two on two mode. It's high stakes, high intensity. There's lots of different routes you can go. Do you want to rush the team? Do you want to play back? What I settled on was I had a really nice combo that I was running with a sniper rifle, a pulse rifle, and then a grenade launcher in my heavy slot. And what we would do each match is we would just try and hold down the heavy. The heavy spawns once per round, so it's vital, it's imperative that you get over there, you guard that post until that heavy spawns, and then you can take advantage of that and get a few kills on your enemy. So I really enjoyed that dynamic. I really enjoyed playing with the sniper rifle a lot more. I haven't used snipers too much in Destiny, and I got to use it a lot more during Crimson Days, and it's a lot of fun to just rip one of those things off, especially when you got a good sniper like Bite of the Fox. That thing's really, really nice in the Crucible. So being able to get in there and rip that thing off and nab some headshots and just watch the other team just crumble in front of you, like that's awesome. And the thing they did with this Crimson Days was they give you a couple new rewards here and there, but they also folded in all of the other rewards from the previous Crimson Days. And so at the end of this thing, I got it all, man. I got every single vanity item, every single emote, everything you could get from Crimson Days, I nabbed. Also nabbed all of the Crucible medals and all of the triumphs. So I cleaned house with Crimson Days. I got everything accomplished. So I've been doing that with the events when they go live. I've been going in there, knocking out all the triumphs and everything associated with it. So I kept it up with Crimson Days. Had a really good time doing it. I do like that that chocolate ghost shell you get for completing all that stuff. It's pretty cool.
It's called the sugary ghost shell.
Yeah, the sugary ghost shell. And then it's got one of my favorite perks on it too, where you get a 10% XP boost to everything that you do. So I really like that, to have that perk on my ghost shell. I'm happy that it's on this one. So I will be rocking that chocolate ghost shell a lot. So you'll see that when my guardian.
That's a very sweet perk. Sweet like chocolate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I wrote that one. I was sitting on that for like the last 10 minutes waiting for you to talk about that.
That was super funny, dude. You should be proud.
I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, the cleverness. I'm just speechless with how insanely good that was. So before we lose all of our viewers on the program here. So yeah, dude, I thought Crimson Days was a big success, and I'd actually like to see them expand on doubles a little bit more after spending a week with that. I think there's some potential there to really flesh that mode out a little bit, add some additional modes like that into the game. So I really think that they should try and do something with that. I was even thinking, like, how sick would it be if they had a competitive playlist with doubles? It would be extremely sweaty. The matches would be ridiculously intense. But man, if you're one of the people that enjoys that kind of style of play, and you just have a place where you can go and just have these intense doubles matches, I don't know, it might be something kind of cool to look into down the line.
And it's funny you mentioned that, because I was talking to a couple of guys that are in our clan. They've been taking a break, and one of them actually told me, hey, look, we took a break because the multiplayer has been kind of stale lately. And when I think about that, we come back and we talk about doubles last week. We said it's very exciting. It's very, very fun. And maybe that's something they should find a way to get it in there. It doesn't have to be doubles, but look at something like that. That's a very unique mode. That's a little bit more obviously, it's a very intense mode. You and I played it. It's very intense. There's a lot of strategy involved, even with two people. So that's really, really cool. VOX Insanity said, I was about 2 triumphs short of getting the ghost shell. But yeah, I like doubles, the cat and mouse aspect of it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's what makes it super intense. You got to stick together. Even breaking apart to give away your positions can be used as a strategy to lure people in. So, I mean, there's a lot there, and it's a lot deeper than you would think doubles would be. And when you look at that, and you look at Crucible, just like the regular modes in there, I feel like doubles is a little bit more appealing because it's something different than the usual 6 player, 6v6 or 4v4, whatever they got in there. It's something that's drastically different than what we're accustomed to.
Yeah, it's a very unique mode when it comes down to it. And when you add in the Destiny sci-fi elements with the powers and the heavy ammo and all these crazy weapons that you have, like, it makes something completely different than pretty much anything else out there in this competitive space. And yeah, man, when you're sitting there at the end of a round and it's 6-6, and you know where the other team's at, they're around the corner, and you see them split off, and one of them tries to rush you. You're like, all right, this guy's got a shotgun, so you pull back and you just pull out a sidearm or something. You make the play to win the round like that. Like, that stuff's really exciting, man. And yeah, and like you said, like, do I break off here? Do I rush this guy with the shotgun, try and take him out to win the round? Like, there's all this stuff that's going on in any given match. And so I really dug it, man. Enjoyed it. And this week on the Crucible side of things, back to the Iron Banner. So I've not had a chance to play any video games this week. So I will be looking forward to spending some time in Iron Banner this weekend. I need to get in there, and there's that one triumph for beating enemies with the full Season 5 armor. So I need to go in there and knock that one out. I haven't done that yet, so I will probably do that on Saturday. But that's what was going on in Destiny the week prior. But let's talk about the future a little bit, Brent. That's what we do on this year program. So this week at Bungie went live today, and there were some juicy things in here. So we're speaking about Season of the Drifter, which officially starts once again on March 3rd. So we are just a couple weeks away from the start of that. Now, one of the things you and I noted, and we were talking about this a little bit before the show, Brent, but this week at Bungie, nothing about Joker's Wild, which is the actual annual pass DLC portion of Season of the Drifter. Obviously, it will deal heavily with Gambit. We don't know anything that this DLC entails other than the Thorn quest. We know that's in there for sure. But outside of that, we don't know what's going on with the Drifter, what's going on with the quest, what's going on with Gambits, this supposed new endgame Gambit activity. We haven't seen anything with that yet. Xur is gonna have some something to do with this with the Xur bounties. So we don't know anything about this at all, and we still don't know anything about this after this week. So
right.
we are still in the dark here with Joker's WAB. So I think if we look at the way Bungie's operated in the recent past here, we can assume that Season of the Drifter starts with the March 5th update. The following week on March 12th, the Joker's Wild DLC will go live, and I'm guessing somewhere in that week leading up to Joker's Wild, we'll get some type of a Vidoc or something that outlines exactly what Joker's Wild has to bring. Obviously, we're gonna have new armor, new weapons, new exotics, new quests. Right. There's a lot of things that we don't know what is going to be entailed in this, and obviously we're all very curious about what that new Gambit activity they've talked about is going to be. So yeah, we'll just wait and see, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like Destiny 2 is in a strange position right now. I mean, because obviously, we've gone through Season of the Forge. During that time, Bungie has broken off from Activision, which, also they lost a lot of their support studios. Obviously they're still got some support with these last remaining content packs, but there's still sort of this uncertainty with Bungie and Destiny, like what's going on behind the scenes. What are the plans? And you've got the release of Anthem tonight. You've got the release of Division 2 on the horizon. That's coming. Or that's making its way close. I feel like this is one of those opportunities where Bungie can be like, all right, look, here's Joker's Wild. Let's get out here. Let's talk about it. But, like you said, this TWAB was a little, I wouldn't say it was awkward. It feels like it was a little bit light. I was expecting a little bit more, like you said, because we're getting so close. And they even talk about in the TWAB, they're like, oh, we're going to have a live stream next week. But it's focusing on the raid. The one that everyone's already played right now, except for you and I. But it's just, and it's just kind of strange, like, I was expecting a little bit more from this TWAB. We still get some good information. There's still some stuff to unpack and talk about, and I dig that. But yeah, I feel like we're getting close to the point where, like, let's start talking about Joker's Wild. This is the next big piece of content that's going to be dropping to keep people, Destiny 2 fans, busy with Anthem out and with the Division 2 coming up quick. You're going to want to get the word around, get people talking, get excited about the next big drop for Destiny 2.
Yeah, I was a little surprised that we didn't get more from this week at Bungie as well. There's actually quite a bit of stuff in here, all things considered. But I thought we were going to get a little bit more about what Joker's Wild was and what goes into Season of the Drifter. Like we just talked about, we don't know anything about Joker's Wild at all, other than Thorn. We don't know anything about the Pinnacle weapons. Well, what are they going to be for this season? We haven't talked about them at all. We haven't talked about what's going on with the Crucible, what's going on with anything. There's been a few hints here and there, and they're dropping some different posts about what we can expect from the big update for Season of the Drifter, the next sandbox update, and that kind of stuff. So we're getting little hints of things there. We've talked about the upgrades they're making to clan progression and that kind of stuff. So we're getting little nuggets here and there. But by and large, Brent, this is still something shrouded in mystery. Not only Season of the Drifter, but especially that Joker's Wild DLC. So yeah, I'm curious what route they're gonna go. They've kind of moved away from the live stream reveals for this content in recent months. I always enjoyed the Bungie live stream reveals, but it seems like they're going more towards this Vidoc approach. So that's what if I had to bet the house on this, I would assume that the next few weeks, this week at Bungie, will continue to focus on Season of the Drifter itself, and then sometime prior to March 12th, probably right around March 12th, we'll get that Vidoc that kind of blows the lid off what Joker's Wild is all about, and then we'll really be able to kind of dive in and talk about what that thing's all about. Interesting too that Joker's Wild will basically come out at the same time as the Division 2. So maybe this is a calculated plan to draw some of that attention back to Bungie and highlight Joker's Wild that week. I also saw somebody tweet this, don't remember who it was, but they were talking about they wonder if Season of the Drifter and Joker's Wild will be a more subdued DLC, and Bungie's kind of planning this big time package, this kind of big time finale to the annual pass with Penumbra, because at that point Division will have been out, Anthem will have been out, Destiny has already been out for a while. So those games, they're coming out kind of in this window. Anthem, Division, they're coming out right as Joker's Wild comes out. So they're gonna take a lot of the spotlight because they're the shiny new object that's in the video game industry. So have a subdued Joker's Wild release. Then maybe don't put all of their eggs into that one. But then a couple months down the line, when Anthem's not new and shiny anymore, and Division's not new and shiny anymore, they come out with this Penumbra update, which is full of all these great, mysterious Destiny things that we all love. And then the community gets really excited about that, and they just flock back for Penumbra in droves. So I think that's an interesting take, and it remains to be seen what they do with that. But I do think we're going to get quite a bit of stuff here with Joker's Wild. So I don't think this is going to be necessarily a subdued piece of DLC. I think there's going to be quite a bit of stuff in there when all's said and done. But we'll have to wait for that Vidoc to kind of see how it all plays out. So moving on from there, let's talk about what's actually in the TWAB, Brent. And so one of the things is that they went into is Gambit as we know and love it today. So once again, with Joker's Wild, it from what I understand, and I don't have the graphic here in front of me with the roadmap on it. In fact, I'm gonna pull it up as we're talking about this here.
Oh man!
But if I'm not mistaken, the roadmap said new Gambit activity or something along those lines.
New variation or something to that effect.
Yeah. So let's see. Season of the Drifter. So we got free seasonal updates, Gambit private matches, and new maps. Okay, so that's definitely going to be a part of this. Exotic Quest, which we know is. Well, these are part of the free update, so I don't know which exotic quest this is going to be. I assume Thorn is going to be part of the annual pass content. We'll see. But there's an exotic quest, spring event, new triumphs and lore books, power increase, new vanity rewards, new rank rewards, Iron Banner. That's all part of the free updates. On the annual pass side of things, we have Joker's Wild weapons and gear and new Gambit experience. That's what's highlighted in there. So that we don't know anything about at this point.
Right.
That's part of the Joker's Wild content. The exotic quest, which with the Thorn, we're guessing, new triumphs and lore books, the Joker's Wild weekly quest, don't know anything about that, and then those elusive Zur bounties, which, when all's said and done, Brent, that might be the thing I'm most interested in, those Zur bounties and what that's going to be about. But if that dude gives us the ability to reroll our exotic armor, I'll be a happy camper. Do it, Zur. Make it happen. But anyways, so let's talk about Gambit as it is right now. This is not the new Gambit experience. This is the Gambit we've been playing. There's going to be some quality of life changes with Season of the Drifter on March 5th. So this is Robbie Stevens, senior designer from Bungie. He had this to say: as we build on the Gambit theme in Season of the Drifter, we want to make sure to address some of the top feedback items for the base activity. Below is a sneak peek of changes we've made based on the community's feedback. Expect more details and additional quality of life changes for Gambit when Season of the Drifter drops on March 5th. So this is just the tip of the iceberg here, according to Robbie. First of all, change the third round of Gambit to a Primeval Rush sudden death. This will speed up Gambit matches overall and add a change of pace to the final round. Brent, I got to get your thoughts on this one, man. What is your take on a third round Primeval Rush sudden death match?
I think it's kind of hot, dude. I think that's a nice twist because, Gambit modes can run pretty long, and, the first two matches is about collecting modes and all that stuff. But then, hey, this is a nice change-up. It keeps things from being the same. It's not just 3 rounds of the same thing. 2 rounds to try to knock it out. But if it goes to sudden death, the best out of 3 that you're at the third match, the rubber match, yeah, it should be something a little bit more intense. It should be a kind of a rush. And I like this because it's gonna require quick thinking. And you'll have to prepare yourself. When you're heading into that third match, you're like, okay, guys, how are we going to approach this? We got to go now. And I think that's pretty cool. So I think this will be an interesting change. So let's see how it works out. But anytime you change up something like this to make things more exciting, more of a rush, I'm down with that, dude.
Yeah, it's interesting too because this will be the round. It'll be a sudden death round. So the question will be, will this start like any other round? Will you start with no heavy ammo and no super, or are you just going to be dropped into this Primeval match with a full super bar and a brick of heavy ammo? Like, how are they going to do it? That's one of the things I'm interested to see how they do it.
Can you imagine just the sheer excitement and adrenaline if you're watching 2 teams go at it, especially if it's like at it's something they're streaming and everyone drops in, supers loaded, fully stocked with heavy, and it's just melt time. Yeah. And whoever can melt the Primeval the quickest. Man, that'd be pretty sexy. I think that'd be exciting to watch. I think that'd be really fun to watch.
Yeah. And right now there are some ways to really melt Primevals quickly. So I'm almost thinking that they're gonna start these matches just clean. You're not gonna have any super bar. You're gonna have no heavy ammo. Maybe there's maybe they change up the way the environment around you is made a little bit. Maybe they put a heavy ammo spawn in your spawn that you can wait for, or maybe your super charges faster in the Primeval Rush. I don't know. I don't know what the mechanics are going to be of this, but I'm interested to see it. I think it could be a good change and a fun change to the game. And like you said, if you're good enough to wipe out the team in those first 2 rounds, cool. You're going to play the regular Gambit modes. But if you're neck and neck and you go to that rubber match, then hey, the proverbial SHIT is going to hit the fan, and you're gonna be in a Primeval sudden death rush. So yeah, I think that could be a good change. Overhauled how we choose the invader spawn location and increase the number of invader spawn points for each map. This should greatly reduce the chances of spawning very near or in direct line of sight of an enemy guardian. So right now, Brent, in a match of Gambit, you will play teams that know exactly where all of the spawn points are for invaders, in so much that the minute you step foot onto a map, there could be somebody waiting there for you, just shooting you in the face. And so yeah, I think this is a necessary change. Let's like mix this up a little bit. Let's increase. It says they've drastically increased it too, or what was the
overhauled? Yeah, increase the number of invader spawn points. That should greatly reduce the chances of spawning.
Yeah, so they've greatly reduced the chances. So to me, that sounds like they're adding quite a few different points that you could spawn into, making it really hard for the enemy team to think about where you're at. So it sounds like something you're in favor of.
No, oh god, dude, there was nothing more annoying than when you're trying to get over to the other side and wreak havoc, and the minute you spawn, hey, there's the Aikilo shotgun. Good night. You know, it's just like, damn, dude, really? Like right there? Yeah, it was super, super annoying, but I'm glad that we're going to have a lot more. Jacob just showed up in the set and he goes, wait, what, oh boy? Yeah, he said, I wonder what's next. Me winning the lottery, a 7th. Oh, I get it. He's like, oh, short pause. Oh, my God, I wonder what's next. Me winning the lottery, a 7th column in Rumble. Jacob, I know you already got it. I know Jacob gets multiple 7 columns. I know this happens all the time, dude. Jacob's a baller.
They actually had to create an 8th column for Jacob, so it's
called Jacob's column. It's just called. It just says Jacob's column or Jacob's column. That's all it says. That's badass, dude. What's up, Jacob? How you doing, dude?
Here's an interesting one, Brent. Implemented idle protection, which means that players that remain dormant for too long will not receive end-of-match rewards or infamy points.
Good.
So, how about that?
All right, and we're back. So I apologize for that. Not sure why we got booed, but it said we got terminated for too many restarts, but we only restarted the stream once. So, boys, please continue.
Jeez. Okay, so we're back live now.
We are live.
Yeah. All right. So, the Triumph, Light versus Light, can now be progressed by killing any Guardian using a super, not just invaders. This makes attaining the Dredgen title a less daunting task. So, to you and I that don't have the Dredgen title yet, that sounds like a great change.
Yes.
Now here's something I really want to get your take on, Brent. This is very interesting here, but they're making adjustments to the blocker types by deposit tier. So now when you deposit a small blocker or 5 motes, this is a taken goblin with less health with less health. Man, I can't say that. With less health than the previous phalanx. A medium blocker will now be a taken captain with more health than the previous knight. And get this, the large blocker will now be a taken knight with more health than the previous ogre. So, Brent, your take on this, man. So just to recap here. So the phalanx has been replaced with a goblin with less health. So an easier to kill goblin. We have and then a captain has replaced the knight with more health, and then the ogre out of the mix completely been replaced with a knight with more health. What's your take on this, dude?
Man, this is I don't know. I mean, like I said, I'm cool with change, but I guess this is something I'm just gonna have to see how it plays out in you know, while you're playing the mode. You know, the blockers. The only time I don't like the blockers is when they're getting sent over while you're fighting the primeval. I feel like, if you got the primeval and the other team's dropping stuff off because they took their sweet-ass time and they're just sending over blocker after blocker after blocker to catch up, that gets kind of annoying. And now you're going to have a Taken Knight that takes more damage that you got to deal with, and you can't send any blockers to them once they get their primeval. That's the only thing I don't like about that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You got to have some kind of a mechanic for the other team to catch up, right? They gotta be able to do something to try and catch up.
Yeah, but I mean, the ogres are beefy, dude. The ogres were beefy in the first place, and if you send over a couple multiple ogres, I mean, I feel like you're rewarding them too much for falling behind. I feel like they're getting too much of an advantage. You got to deal with the ogre, a bunch of the other ads running around, and the primeval. I don't like that portion of it. Like I said, you're kind of rewarding the other team for falling behind. I mean, there's a team that can be like, okay, look, guys, we'll hold off here until we get all these motes, and then once they summon the primeval, we'll send over the ogres, and then we'll just bring our primeval out and melt them right away. I just don't like that portion of it. Yeah. It's just strange.
I don't know, man. If you're on the opposite team and you get that far behind where the enemy's primeval is out and you can deposit enough motes to summon that many ogres, I mean,
yeah, but dude,
by that point, isn't the other team already melting their primeval?
I don't know. I mean, if there's two ogres that are lighting everybody up, I don't know how well they're doing. It's just like I said, if you're falling behind, I don't know if you should get super rewarded for it. Like if you start, like if they pull up their primeval, I feel like maybe do something like every time you send over a blocker, it's not you can't send an ogre anymore. You just said every time you put in a bunch, it's always like maybe a captain or the goblin. I just feel like when you punish the team that's doing well because the other team is slacking, I just don't like that portion of it. If you fall behind, guess what? That's on you. Mm-hmm. That's on you. That's just the only part that irritates me a little bit.
Well, let me ask you this: even with more health, the Taken Knight could potentially be easier to deal with than the ogre, right?
Oh yeah, because he doesn't have that range.
With more health. Yeah,
he doesn't have that range attack
that just shoots everywhere.
Right. So I mean, yeah, there could be a trade-off. It's just man, it just used to piss me off when those ogres used to drop it. Maybe it is different with the Knight though. Maybe it is different with the Knight. Maybe it's a little bit easier. Who knows?
Yeah, so I'm interested to see that. I didn't realize there was this movement to change the blockers. I hadn't really thought anything of it, really.
Yeah, the type of blocker, the type of enemy, I never thought was in question. I never thought there was
I never had an issue with it. Yeah. I never had an issue with a Phalanx coming out or a Knight or even the ogre. I was like, all right, well, you banked 15 motes. You deserve an ogre.
Yeah, I feel like the Phalanxes weren't even that difficult to begin with. Like, I don't know. Like now you got a less health.
If you carry
goblin.
an Ikilos in there, those Phalanxes were cake.
The next time they make an adjustment, the small blocker is going to be a drag with less health. I'm like, what?
To be a one-hit shank. Yeah. So, but when the TWAB went live, I did see quite a few people posting that they were excited about these Gambit changes. So this could be just an aspect of the community that I was ignorant of, that maybe people wanted different blockers. And like they said, this is based on their own play testing as well as feedback from the community. So it's very possible this was just an aspect that I was just completely ignorant of. I had no idea there was talk about the blockers in Gambit, but apparently there was. So we'll see what becomes of that. So all that stuff taken as a whole, Brent, does this sound like some good quality of life changes then for Gambit? Is this going to spice up the mode a little bit come Season of the Drifter?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything super terrible here. Jacob is not a fan of the sudden death mechanic. 4 stacks that melt bosses will have fun with that, he says. It's just no, I think these are nice changes. I mean, it's going to spice things up. It changes things up a little bit, and Bungie will listen to the feedback from the community, what they like, what they don't like, and they'll just continue to adjust. I mean, Gambit for me, I think, is probably the most exciting mode in the game. Yeah, especially because awesome. It's a sweet balance of PvE with some PvP elements to it. I think it's really exciting. We've had some epic comebacks in Gambit. It's incredibly exciting. It's a great mode, and if they want to tweak it a little bit to make it even more exciting or change things up a little bit, I think this is a mode that you can afford to make those little changes or take a couple risks, because it's just so popular. If you're making some changes that's going to make it even better, hey man, that's cool. And we've already seen that Bungie can make changes to things on the fly. So if something isn't going well, if it isn't received well, we know they can change things very, very quickly. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, dude, we've been playing Gambit for a long time now. We know what Gambit is. And yeah, you're gonna have to change things up a little bit. You don't want it to become stale and everyone kind of okay, cool, yeah, because it can go from Gambit is so cool to a year later like, yeah, it's Gambit, it's the same thing. Now you're kind of changing things up a little bit. Keep people honest out there.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I like spicing it up, and so this, coupled with the new Gambit activity that we're gonna get, coupled with the new maps that we're gonna get for Gambit, there's gonna be a lot of Gambit goodness to go along with Season of the Drifter, as well there should be, because obviously the Drifter. So yeah, I'm with you 100% on that. Final note on Gambit here: Triple Infamy will start February 26th and run until Season of the Drifter begins on March 5th. So if you are trying to wrap up some final triumphs or challenges or whatever the case may be with Gambit, next week will be the time to do it when you have Triple Infamy. So be on the lookout for that. There's some sweet packages available to you if you can reset your Infamy rank. You get the you get a curated.
Apparently, we're going to keep battling YouTube, so we're going to stay live again. We're back. I apologize. I'm not sure why YouTube keeps kicking us off restarting, but we're going to power forward and keep going. Go ahead, Mr. Boys.
YouTube not happy with the removal of the ogre, so it's they are staking their claim. All right, so hopefully we're here. We're talking Triple Infamy, and just once again, Triple Infamy next week from the 26th until Season of the Drifter starts on March 5th. If you reset rank 1, you get the Trust Hand Cannon. If you reset rank 2, you get a curated version of the Bad Omens rocket launcher that's exclusive to that package. So that is something I actually kind of want to get in there and get. So I might be partaking in some Triple Infamy next week with the end of Season of the Forge here. So with that, let's talk about some sandbox stuff, Brent. Nice. First on the menu here, Bungie is tweaking linear fusion rifles. There's some really interesting stuff in here. These energy weapons, this is sandbox designer Victor Anderson.
Look, YouTube. We're good.
Queenbreaker in that mode a lot. So, we've made them less forgiving so you can enjoy a change of pace. This is speaking of the linear fusion rifles. So, first and foremost, linear fusion rifle aim assist values will receive an adjustment to reduce effectiveness at very long ranges. Brent, you can hop into a match of Gambit and invade the other team with a sleeper or with a Queenbreaker, and you can annihilate the team from across the map. So I think this is a very necessary change for Gambit. Here's something really interesting, though. While Queenbreaker has high aim assist values by default, we discovered an issue where it was not honoring aim assist values that applied to other linear fusion rifles of the same archetype. This resulted in Queenbreaker having over double the intended aim assist. Over double.
Jeez.
And many people have noted, like, man, it's sleeper. Queenbreaker's pretty forgiving. You can really get those shots in there, and clearly that's because it has over double the aim assist it's supposed to have. So it's going to be super interesting to see how that gun is after this change. And then also, as a result of this, linear fusion rifles will receive a 10% damage increase in PvE to compensate for the above changes. So you're telling me the sleeper simulant's going to do 10% more damage than it already does? Good grief. Brent, talk to me about these changes with linear fusion rifles.
Yeah, man, I think because whenever you play Gambit, if an invader pops in, more often than not, I'd say 9 times out of 10, they're rocking either the sleeper or the Queenbreaker. I mean, those are the two go-tos in terms of invaders. Sometimes you'll catch some other items, some pulse rifles from a range or scout rifles, but from every time I played, it's just the linear fusion rifle is the meta for Gambit. You need to have one. Yep. And I feel like, yeah, this is a good change. I mean, it's still going to be lethal, but you're not going to get that 4 times aim assist or whatever the hell it came to for the Queensbreaker. It's not going to be an auto lock on. You're going to have to require a little bit of skill with it. So no, I think that's a necessary change because it's going to have people going into their arsenal a little bit and trying to change things up and try something different.
Yeah. And it makes sense that this would come during Season of the Drifter. Like you mentioned, linear fusion rifles are the meta for Gambit, and you have to have one when you go into that mode, or you're just going to be left out in the cold. So makes sense that they're adjusting this. And, yeah, this is first and foremost for Gambit. So, yeah, I'm very curious to see what Queenbreaker especially is like with this once this aim assist has been adjusted. Mm-hmm. Now, that's not the only big bad archetype on the block here. So on the Crucible side of things, And also on the PvE side of things, we've got some notorious shotguns, Brent, that are going to be a touch different come Season of the Drifter. So let's talk shotguns. Victor had this to say. In Season of the Drifter, we're making a few changes to rapid-fire shotguns and the full auto perk. We're doing this for a few reasons, one of them being that the full auto perk feels far too important to shotguns in PvE. This perk effectively doubles the damage output of any given shotgun due to the rate of fire increase, and is the primary reason you would never use any shotgun other than the Aikilo shotgun in PvE. While we believe it is important to have useful perks on your weapons, the efficacy of this was so impactful that rapid-fire shotguns became the only shotguns worth considering for PvE. So obviously you have the Aikilos. I think the threat detector from the raid is also one of these guns as well. So yeah, but man, once you get the Aikilos from Escalation Protocol, you never take it off your character ever. Nope. It's not even a consideration. You're like building loadouts. You're like, well, it's an Arc Singe week. Okay, Aikilo shotgun it is. Oh, it's Void Singe this week. Cool. Aikilo shotgun in the middle slot there. Yep. Any and everything, any activity you do, Aikilo shotgun. While we believe it is important, I already read that. When the following changes release in Season of the Drifter, we hope you might be inspired to equip an aggressive shotgun, or maybe even take a slug shotgun for a spin in a PvE activity. A type of shotgun that only gets play in the Crucible generally. So here's what's going on with shotguns, Brent. Shotguns will receive a damage multiplier in PvE activities, effectively doubling their damage. The Legend of Acreus is an exception to this, which is probably good because from what I understand, that thing is just ripping through enemies right now.
Yeah, it is.
Full auto rate of fire bonus for shotguns is now plus 10%, down from plus 100%.
Wow.
In addition, it no longer increases the shotgun pellet spread. So that's interesting, Brent. So one of the things with full auto shotguns, and one of the reasons they don't necessarily get as much play in something like the Crucible, is because of that pellet spread. Yep. That's why you're looking for that full choke option on a lot of these shotguns that you take into the Crucible, because it really narrows that pellet spread and gives you a more reliable one-hit kill weapon. So that's an interesting change there. Default rate of fire values have also shifted. So aggressive shotguns are 55 rounds per minute, up from 45. Precisions are 70 rounds per minute, up from 55. Lightweights are 80 rounds per minute. They were erroneously stated to be 90 previously. Rapid fire shotguns are 140 now, down from 200. They were previously native 100, but due to the intrinsic full auto, they actually had 200 rounds per minute. Also reduced base damage for shotguns across the board to align with their new rates of fire on a per sub archetype basis. Ammo reserves for shotguns were reevaluated due to increased efficiency of having more damage per shot. We also took the opportunity to slightly adjust shotguns for the Crucible. While shotguns will remain effective in the Crucible, we have toned down the range at which shotguns could secure a one-shot kill.
That was necessary.
This could potentially be a game changer in the Crucible. What kind of range are we talking about here? Are we talking half a meter, which is still significant? Are we talking a full meter? Would they even go beyond that? I don't think they'll go beyond a meter, but this could potentially change the dynamics of Crucible tenfold. There's a lot of Dust Rock Blues running around in the Crucible right now. If you nerf their effective range, how many people are gonna abandon that and try something else? So I'm super interested to see what the meta looks like when it comes to shotguns, Brent, once we get this update. What's your take on all this, man, in PvE and in the Crucible with everything that's going on with the shotguns?
The PvE stuff I felt is necessary because, seriously, yeah, Aikilo shotgun is all I would run with. Yeah. That's all I would ever run with. So that was a necessary change to get me to go in there and try stuff out, try some different items. But I love the change to the Crucible. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I'd get lit up by a guy from a distance with the shotgun. I was just like, wait, what? Wait, what? From there? And I was just like, okay, whatever. And I just felt like, I was like, yeah, the range of some of these shotguns is a bit much. But I mean, you know, with shotguns are meant to be up close and personal. Those are close quarter combat weapons. You shouldn't be you shouldn't be running up on somebody out in the open and get a distance kill with it. It's a shotgun. It's made for up close and personal, close encounters of the rough kind. Yeah. And you know, I'm glad that they're reducing the distance on that. That had to change. Yeah. Yeah, dude, the Dust Rock Blues, if you get the correct roll on that gun, you can kill at 9 meters. 9 meters. You can one-shot kill an enemy. That's why
It's why that shotgun was so popular.
That's the God roll that Jacob's talking about. He's like,
Yeah.
I haven't gotten a God roll dust rock yet, so I'm sad.
Yeah.
Well,
well, you
try
got
to
2
get
weeks.
it quick.
Yeah.
You get 2 weeks to get it and enjoy it, buddy.
2 weeks to get it and utilize it. So yeah, it's why we see the dust rock so much in the Crucible, because of that ability. The other interesting thing I think this is going to do from a Crucible perspective, Brent, is it's going to really, I think, make those slug shotguns an even more attractive option, especially the Chaperone. The Chaperone is obviously an excellent weapon. It's an exotic, so it makes sense that it has the abilities that it has. But with the Chaperone in the right hands, you can kill people at once you get the Roadborne perk active, you can kill at like 15 meters with that thing. So that's going to make that shotgun even more attractive to those that can utilize it and get those headshots with it. And maybe some of these other slug shotguns that we see in the game, maybe people will start to use those more and take advantage of some of the more distance kills that they can get with those things. So I'll be interested to see how that all plays out. But yeah, it's going to be the same question again with PvE, Brent. What is this going to do to the Aikilo shotgun? Are we going to get into the game come March 5th and be like, okay, I really need to think about using another gun now? Or is it still just going to be, you know what, this thing's still a beast, it's still a badass, I'm still probably not going to take it out of this slot? That's what I'm most curious to see with this.
This thing's gonna have to be a limp dick for me to take it out of my slot, dude. I seriously, I love the Aikilo shotgun. I absolutely love the Aikilo shotgun. So hopefully it's not too holding back, because I feel like that's a weapon that should be. It's not an exotic, but it's got a pretty sweet perk on it. So I mean, hopefully it's still highly effective. I expect it to still be highly effective. But no, and it's just I hope it's good. I hope it doesn't ruin things. But I mean, like I said, sometimes you got to change things up so the meta changes, so people go out and try different weapons.
Yeah, I like that. I think these are some good changes. Very curious to see them in action. So we'll see if what is on paper here translates well into the game. Something else that needs to be addressed sooner rather than later, and it's finally getting addressed, is One-Eyed Mask, which is just an OP exotic if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, I just read Jacob's comment. This is great. I got a God roll good bone structure with quick draw slide shots, so you can pull it out instantly while sliding around a corner and just destroy people. And he goes, but I accidentally dismantle it. Ugh.
Jeez, Jacob, you got to put that lock on, dude. You put that lock on that stuff.
That's terrible.
Jeez. As far as One-Eyed Mask goes, so once again, much like if you've played Gambit, you've ran into a linear fusion rifle. If you've played Crucible in any way, shape, or form over the past 4 months, you've ran into One-Eyed Mask probably a lot. Anytime you run into a Titan, they're probably wearing One-Eyed Mask. So this is what Victor had to say in regards to One-Eyed Mask. In various combat situations, One-Eyed Mask has been too effective and has become a non-choice exotic for Titans in PvP environments. Literally. If you're a Titan, Brent, you wear this helmet. There's no questions. There's literally no questions. You're not like, all right, I'm going to try this build. I'm going to maybe try this exotic and see what it does. No. If you go into the Crucible and you have a One-Eyed Mask in your inventory, you will wear that as a Titan. After implementing the following changes, we believe the exotic will still be potent if used well, but there will be more opportunities to counter it. First and foremost, the duration of the Mark of Vengeance has been reduced from 15 to 8 seconds, which is almost halved on that. The way players refill health after a successful kill has changed. Before, it restored all of your health and the overshield refilled over time. Now the health refills over time alongside the overshield. This should give a leg up when encountering situations where multiple people are fighting one person with the One-Eyed Mask equipped. Okay, interesting. So the health won't just be there right away. It's gonna move up with the shield. If you're fighting multiple people, there's a good chance you get killed. Vengeance will no longer trigger for players in Super. This was making Supers far too potent. So, an interesting round of changes there, Brent. Is this going to bring this thing in line with other exotics, you think, or is this still going to be the king of the castle when it comes to Titan exotics?
That's the thing, man. We've seen some changes to weapons over the course of the last year, and there's still weapons even with these changes. I'm like, nah, I'm still using it. And there's and I'm sure the same works with armor for certain classes. They make changes and you're like, oh no, they're changing my baby. Like when they changed Aikilo shotgun, the way that perk worked, I was just like, oh no, but I still use it. It's still boss.
Yeah, it's still a beast.
Yeah, because you just know how to use the weapon. You got to change how you use it. It's still a volatile. It's still just a nightmare weapon in PvE if you use it right. Yeah. And so, while this is being nerfed, Titans realize now that their time is had, but they can still be pretty lethal with it if they know how to use it.
Yeah. And I think that's the key there, Brian. You hit the nail on the head. This thing is still going to be effective. It's still got some great perks to it. It's just going to take a little more strategic thinking when utilizing this thing in order to use it to its full potential.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Other than that, that's pretty much the TWAB for the week. I do wanna mention this though. They slipped in a little nugget here at the end of the TWAB for you, Brent. It's something that hunters have been asking for quite a while, and it's coming as part of update 2.2.0 on March 5th. So this is the illustrious DMG on the blog here. Before we go, I wanted to share a quick preview of something that the hunters among you have been asking for. If you ever found yourself thinking it would be awesome if I could see my entire cloak when previewing shaders, we have some good news for you. Update 2.2.0 will make a slight change to your view when inspecting cloaks in the character screen. Brent, you can see your entire cloak now when you're previewing shaders. Talk to me. Your thoughts on this change.
This one really hit me to the core. There's a lot of things that I want from the Hunter class, but being able to see my cloak, it's like Bungie was in tune with me. It's like they were just reading my soul.
Yeah.
Like DMG was just like, he just put his hand in my chest and was like, "You want to see your cloak?" Okay.
And he made it happen.
Yeah, great, cool. Now can we get to some real changes for the hunters, please?
So that is this week at Bungie for February 21st, 2019. And that's pretty much going to do it for us on Tower Talk this evening. So some interesting things going on with the sandbox. There will be more of this to come. Like I said, if I had to guess, the next two this week at Bungie's will probably be along a similar line to what this week's was. Maybe a little more information, maybe less. I don't know, depending on how much they have to talk about with sandbox changes and what exactly Season of the Drifter entails. I would imagine we'll learn about pinnacle weapons coming up here soon. But all of this stuff is going to be talked about, and I think probably prior to March 12th or around that date, we'll really get the full unveiling of Joker's Wild, and that's how I expect news for the game to kind of disseminate over the next couple weeks. What do you think, Brent? Does that sound like a logical plan?
Yeah, man. We got to start hearing about this thing. I feel like we're very, very close. So they need to start talking about it. And, whether or not this is going to be the smaller of the three packs remains to be seen. Maybe that's why they're not talking about it as much. But, no, I completely forgot about how they did that one release. I think it was for Forsaken where they released the big update first. Then they gave it a week. And they're like, okay, now Forsaken's going to drop. We want to make sure these changes are in place. These are the right changes that we want for the next upcoming update. And then they release the next content pack. So, yeah, that does give them until the 12th to talk about this. But obviously next week we've got the live stream with the raid crew. But, yeah, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that we'll get a Vidoc possibly next week along with the TWAB. Or the following week, it has to be. Obviously, if it's not next week, it has to be the following week. But we got to start hearing about this, about Joker as well. We got to start hearing about, because when you talked about that roadmap, there's a lot to talk about.
Oh yeah,
this is going to have to be a lengthy Vidoc or a lengthy TWAB or a combination of the two. But yeah, we do need to start hearing about this because there's a lot they're going to have to unpack for us.
Yeah, just think about Bungie makes an awesome video too when they do these Vidocs. These things are exciting. So there's all these new exotics they're going to bring out, all these new weapons and armor and things that they're going to display for us. And we don't know any of that stuff right now, much less any of the content that's in the game. So it's pretty exciting thinking about that. We're about to get this new drop for the game. We're getting all this new stuff to do that's coming into the game soon. So we'll just be here on pins and needles waiting for whenever Bungie decides to let us in on what's going on with this. So that's going to do it for the show. If you like the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell so you always know when we go live. We love having you guys in the chat. I love talking Destiny with you. Brent, one more shout out to who we had in the chat today. I know Insanity and Jacob were in there.
Those are the two guys that we're talking tonight. So we a lot of the people they thank you, Insanity, appreciate that. A lot of people watch the show on demand, but we do appreciate those that stop in. I know 10 o'clock on Thursday night, some people can make it. Sometimes they can't, but we do appreciate those of you that show up and talk Destiny 2 with us. It means a lot to us.
Absolutely. So Brent, anything else you want to get off your chest, man?
No, tonight, if you are staying up late, depending on what time we can get through the opening section, we will be streaming some Anthem tonight. So, obviously, as Destiny fans, we do find these types of games appealing. So we are going to take a look at Anthem tonight. Probably going to be around 12:30. That's probably the time we're hoping to start, depending if the servers are working. And like I said, we got to play through the opening section, which is solo. But then we can squad up shortly after that. So tonight, make sure you tune in if you're there. If not, watch it on demand. We want to get your thoughts on Anthem because that's that's, like as Ben mentioned earlier, the new shiny toy that's jumping out that's most appealing to us Destiny fans.
Shiny new toy in the games as a service universe. All right, so that's going to do it for us. For Brent, I'm Ben. Thanks for watching the show. Love you guys. Follow us at The Short Pause. We'll see you throughout the week as we stream Anthem and other games, and be back here next Thursday night for the next episode of Tower Talk. We'll see you then. Have a good evening.
See you guys.